Hey guys, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you can see, once again, I am here with Cierra Caballero, formerly of Pop Nerd TV, presently of Tales from a Retro Gamer, I guess, since she's going to join me periodically for a video. Today, I am talking about, first of all, say hello.
Hello,
my bad.
hi.
That's so rude of me.
What's up? I thought it'd look cool just taking off my sunglasses and just going.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's what's up. But no, I think it's hello, everyone. It's been a while. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well.
We'd intended to do another video, but we both just got busy, and you know how that goes. Anyway, here we are, and it occurred to me the other day that my very first Comic-Con was 40 years ago. I've been thinking a lot lately about anniversaries, because last year was the Pong.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And this year, or ColecoVision also last year. This year was the 40th anniversary of the great video game crash of 1983. And that just kind of got me thinking. And it's also the 20th anniversary of my first video game convention,
Nice.
which we will cover in a future video. So currently, let's discuss Comic-Cons. I'm going to talk about my very first Comic-Con. I think you're out of frame a little bit.
I'm doing it on purpose so they can. I'm just kidding.
There we go. So it occurred to me that 40 freaking years ago was my very first comic book convention, and things have changed so much in those intervening years.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I would talk about Sierra's first Comic-Con as well, and just how different that must have been, because I'm guessing your first one wasn't 40 years ago.
Maybe it was, and I'm a vampire.
Or a zombie or something.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No,
you're the undead. I always thought there was something off about you.
Yeah. Oh.
But yours was how long ago?
Mine was 5 years ago, according to YouTube.
Okay, the YouTube, because you did some interviews,
Yes.
which we will discuss. So,
Yeah.
very briefly, let's talk about my first Comic-Con 40 effing years ago. That's just hard for me to process.
Should get a t-shirt.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done anything 40 years ago. That just seems too long ago. I don't feel that old. I may look it, but I don't feel it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was 1983 at the Dallas Fantasy Fair. This was an amazing comic book convention held over the years. I believe it started in the early 80s and went through the 90s, maybe the mid 90s. And wow, what a magical time of quarter boxes and artists and guests that didn't charge an arm and a leg. You know, it was real cheap.
Yeah.
That first one in 83, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So picture this. I am 16 years old. I'm in high school. And this was a time when you did not dare talk about comic books.
No.
Now, I'm guessing while you went to school, you were in high school, not a big deal?
No one really. I mean, all of my friends seem to be pretty into it. I mean, it wasn't like a big thing that a lot of people like kind of openly talked about.
It wouldn't make you an outcast if you told people you talked about that you read comics.
I mean, I don't think so, because I mostly stuck with my friends.
Right.
I you know, we
So
all talked about.
Are you saying you were unpopular?
I was very unpopular. Yes.
How is that? That's hard to believe.
I don't know. I definitely came out of my shell after high school.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Well, I joined my band in high school, and that definitely helped
instantly
me,
makes you
made me
cool.
more confident. Well, it's so funny. It's like people I didn't really talk to all that much. All of a sudden, when they found out I was in a band, they were like, "Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that you did that."
This was Unveiled Band.
Yeah,
And you
so
can find them on YouTube.
Yeah, so I was, it kind of branched me out more, kind of made me more confident, and helped me like get more confidence to talk to and make new friends and talk to people I usually don't talk to, and be more open. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, I played basketball. That sort of had the same effect. It
Yeah.
got you more social and got you a little more well-known and that kind of thing. And so, but the friends I did have, I only told 2 friends that I collected comic books.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of best friends, a couple of those guys.
Yeah.
But then there was another guy that was an artist, and he bought them just because he liked the art.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys and a couple other people I knew from, when I was a little kid. So very few people knew I read comics.
Yeah.
Because in 1983, especially in Texas, where things tough and tumble and, a lot of rednecks and stuff, especially back then.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more diverse. But back in Dallas-Fort Worth in those days, it was cool to say you like the Dallas Cowboys. It was cool for certain things. But you did not. Video games seemed to be fine. That seemed to be cool and cutting edge. But comic books, they thought you were a low-grade moron. They didn't think you were just childish or nerdy. It wasn't even so much as that. They just thought you were an idiot if you were reading comic books instead of like a novel or something.
Video games were really cool still, like at my school or like with my grade. I mean, like me and my friends, I read some graphic novels and like we talked about anime and like stuff like that. And I was more into horror movies and stuff.
Right. That was considered always cool. Yeah. Science fiction and horror movies, that was never seemed, that was never a negative. That was, you could talk about that and nobody cared. Yeah. It was considered kind of cool.
I don't know.
But comic books,
for some reason,
they just had that horrible stigma, especially back then.
It's like in Creep Show and the mom throws away. Yeah.
Comic books had all kinds of stigma attached to them, but specifically that you were an idiot if you read them. And they had no idea there were actually legitimately good stories in it, like the Chris Claremont X-Men. And there was a lot of great stories in comics, but people that didn't read them, didn't know about them, didn't understand them, didn't realize that. But when I went to this Dallas Fantasy Fair in 1983, I was 16, so I had a car, I drove, me and a friend went, and I was just completely stunned to go into this hotel and to see these 3 big rooms just filled with boxes and boxes of comic books.
Right.
Prior to that, you would go to a comic book store, you'd see a select amount of back issues, you might have a quarter box or two under the table or something.
Yeah.
But just to see walls and walls and tables and tables.
And meet other people who love comic books too.
Yeah.
And you're like...
Right, and a ton of people. Now back then in 1983, the Dallas Fantasy Fair, that was the 3rd biggest comic book convention in the country.
Yeah.
Number 1 was San Diego Comic-Con.
Still going
strong. Nowadays they get 150 to 200,000 people. Back then San Diego Comic-Con was around 5,000 people.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest one in the country. Next up was Chicago and New York. Dallas Fantasy Fair was around 3rd or 4th because Chicago and New York had a big scene, relatively speaking. Dallas Fantasy Fair had around 2,500 people.
Wow.
Which seemed a lot then, but now is tiny now because the Dallas Fan Expo and the Dallas Comic-Con now gets 50, 60,000 people. Celebrity autographs are anywhere from $20 up to hundreds of dollars. Back then, all writers and artists and most celebrities, it was free.
Right.
Occasionally you'd get
It was nice.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
You could just walk up and it was small crowds relative to today, so you didn't wait in a long line. You just walked up and say, hey, what's up? And you might have to pay $5 for like a glossy photo, but then the autograph was free. So it was great. It was super fun.
I've never experienced that, man, but if I did, I'd miss it.
It would be awesome. You would have been, how old were you in 1983? About negative 100?
I was negative, yeah. I wasn't even born.
Yeah, not quite.
Not
you
quite.
were still...
I was still being planned, I guess.
Something. You were in the ether somewhere?
I was in the ether,
right,
causing mischief.
But the Dallas Fantasy Fair was held at a hotel. I love hotel conventions because... I don't know, there's something intimate about them that you don't really get in a big convention center.
Yeah.
They're just so, I don't know, and especially if you stay there,
yeah,
you just walk from there to your room, so you
Easy.
can drink as much as you want. You don't have to drive anywhere.
Were you drinking as much as you wanted at 16, your first one?
No, maybe no, something like that. What we would do at these Comic-Cons in the 80s, we would stay all weekend, but not get a hotel. Because we probably could have afforded it because we worked, we had jobs and stuff, but we chose not to. We didn't want to spend, what
you
what
had
was
money
then.
for comics.
Yeah, we wanted to spend our money on comics, so we would sleep in the all-night film rooms. They would show videos. This was the VHS era. It was past. I've talked to people that went to Comic-Cons in their 70s, and they would watch the reel-to-reel movies, rare stuff. And people would come from all over the country to see rare films.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, it was so cool. But this was the VHS era where there were certain titles that were still very hard to find and that were only available, like maybe somebody recorded off television or there was some out-of-print video or something. Yeah. So I remember watching a bunch of movies like just weird stuff like Star Trek bloopers and Bambi versus Godzilla and 1 Million Years BC with Raquel Welch and
Bambi
stuff like
versus
that.
Godzilla?
Yeah, have you ever seen that? It's just a few seconds long and it's Godzilla stomping Bambi.
That's incredible.
And they've made a sequel where Bambi shoots Godzilla with a machine gun or something.
Okay, I need that. I love Godzilla, so.
Oh yeah, me too. Me and my brother just grew up worshiping Godzilla. When King Kong versus Godzilla come out, we were for Godzilla. Most American kids were for King Kong, but we were Team Godzilla.
Yeah. I love both of them.
Oh,
but
for sure.
My Godzilla's right here.
Yeah, Godzilla is freaking awesome.
I like reptiles. They're so cute.
Reptiles are indeed where it's at. And my brother and I put together a Godzilla model kit.
Yo, those are cool.
It was super cool. So it was, the big green monster, about like, a foot or tall or so, but it had glow in the dark pieces.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
That's
it was super awesome. And we'd watch those on Saturday afternoons and stuff. So much fun. And Mothra and Mechagodzilla and all that stuff. So great. But anyway, so at this Comic-Con, I stayed all weekend, and I don't think I spent the first night in the video room, that first Comic-Con, because I didn't really know that was a thing. I knew they had videos, and I knew they had 24-hour stuff, but it didn't really occur to me to stay all weekend. That seemed kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a ton of fun. And it was amazing, and you really can't recapture what it was like then, because back then it was so underground. Like, you were basically meeting with, just a bunch of other sort of misfits and brainiacs and, geeks and nerds and misfits and stuff.
Yeah.
Not that many just mainstream people read comics or even thought much about them.
No.
So it was a very cool happening. So your first Comic-Con was when and where?
It was 2017.
2017?
So 5 years ago.
Okay.
My math be
My
right.
math be working 5 or 6 years ago. Okay.
And it was a fan expo in Dallas, and I was very fortunate enough to be working press there. So
cool. For Pop Nerd?
For Pop Nerd TV,
right.
With my co-host Alex.
Yeah.
And
good old Alex Thompson.
Good old
Shout out to Alex.
Thompson. Miss you, dude.
Yeah, you're cool. You're
doing
awesome,
good.
dude.
But yeah, we went there. And it was super fun. Me and Jackie we just dressed as splicers from BioShock.
So you cosplayed to your very first Comic-Con. That's pretty cool.
I felt that it was necessary, and I really wanted to, really, really bad.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of moolah to do anything super fancy, but we were like, you know what? Splicers. It's really easy. We'll go thrift. We will cover him in blood. Let's go.
I've seen pictures.
Yes, yes, it was super fun. I already had a bobbed wig, so it was pretty easy to put together, and we got a lot of compliments on them. So heck yeah. And then let's see. I remember I interviewed a lot of incredible comic book artists. I also a cosplayer, I think Meg Turney. I think that's one of the people I remember interviewing there. I interviewed so many wonderful people and met.
And those were for videos for your channel?
Yeah, if you go to Pop Nerd TV and you look at our playlist called PopCon, I believe, or convention, you'll see it.
Was there anything unexpected when you went to your first Comic-Con? Was there anything unexpected when you got there? Were you surprised by anything?
I was surprised of how how much variety there was, I guess, because I didn't really know it. I guess all I expected really was maybe something for comic books and video games, maybe. But there was a lot more variety than I thought. Like
anime.
There was anime there. There was stuff for horror. There was a lot of great artists there. I didn't expect to be there. For there to be as much diversity as far as mediums as there was.
Well, that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
In '83, it was mostly comic books. There were graphic novels and some other related stuff, like maybe art books, like Frazetta books and stuff like that. But it was mostly comic books.
Yeah.
And there were never video games at Comic-Cons back then. At least not any that I went to.
Yeah.
But in modern times, their conventions are much more diverse, and they're much more diverse with people too. There were hardly any females at Dallas Fantasy
There was
Fair.
a lot of ladies at this one.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
That's a huge improvement because back then it was a bunch of smelly dudes.
It was very diverse. There was a lot of diversity with fans, and I loved that, and all different age groups and genders, and it was just awesome, and there was something for everyone at the convention. And the reason I also say fortunate as far as being press is because when you're press, you can go up to people at tables and talk to them, and interview them, and you get a little bit more access than a normal convention goer would. I mean, when I went to Famous Monsters of Filmland convention, when they had it for 1 year here in Dallas, I got to meet so many people. I thought if I were just if it were a different convention or a different circumstance, I would have had to pay.
Yeah,
to
it's
talk
nice.
to them.
You can just go up and talk to them and get an interview or a picture or something. Unless you're trying to talk to William Shatner, and then he'll call you a scam artist.
Yeah.
I've got that video you guys should watch. Just look up Brett Weiss, William Shatner, and you'll find it.
I'm sorry that happened, man.
Yeah, it's okay. It made for a funny video and an interesting article, so it really didn't bother me that much. It's just harder to watch Star Trek now. I didn't think it would affect me, but
it still sits with you.
It does. It sits a little bit.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, especially when you grow up with Star Trek.
Yeah, you got to separate the art from the artist. I wish I'd have met Leonard Nimoy instead, but I did meet Nichelle Nichols, and she was amazingly sweet.
That's good. It made up for everything.
It certainly did.
But yeah, it was. I feel very fortunate that I was able to be press for a lot of the conventions I did go to. But my first one, I mean, I was like, before that, I had gone to like Retropalooza. That's where I met this guy.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of experience with the interviewing part, but for the most part, I was still pretty fresh and new. And so I was like looking at tables and going like, okay, I got like less than 20 seconds to like look around and see what this person does. And like, I did as much research as you can before going. I'd make little note cards and stuff, but for the most part, sometimes we do like last minute, like unexpected interviews. And so I'd just be like, but there was also an advantage of that too, because if I knew too much about them,
you want to kind of learn a little bit about them as you go, so you can react and stuff.
I don't know. I really love getting to know someone organically too. So like not knowing everything about them actually made the interview a lot more fun too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Because then I could like ask them questions that they had never been asked.
It probably came through in the video too. It made it probably a little more dynamic and more interesting. Yeah,
because then sometimes we'd go off on a tangent and talk about other things, and that was even more fun because sometimes. I don't know. It just brings a new flavor to it.
Brings the fun in.
That's cool. I saw some sick cosplay. By the way, a lot more cosplay, I'm sure, now.
There's a ton more cosplay than there used to be. Cosplay dates back to actually the earliest of Comic-Cons. There were a handful of people that cosplayed at the earlier cons. But in the 80s, it was still pretty sparse. You'd see a few people, and they were, even within Comic-Cons, they were considered a little odd. Yeah. I mean, it was sort. I don't know. It's so much different now than it used to be.
Now it's a whole
so much more mainstream. It's
really
a big community. Everybody finds each other online. Back then, it was just an odd mismatch of misfits.
You show up and you wear the same costume, and you're like.
The community there was some bit of community, and that was from the comic book stores.
Yeah.
Dallas Fantasy Fair would have these flyers, and even for their bigger cons, these little booklets, because they had mini cons throughout the year.
Yeah.
But then they would have their big Dallas Fantasy Fair in the summer, and certain other times, and that would be an actual booklet showing. Am I boring you?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I took a breath and it made me.
I'm just kidding. I'm doing that stupid thing where people automatically assume.
Been roasting all day.
I'm the king of sick burns. I'm sorry about that. See, I hate it when you yawn and someone assumes it means you're bored.
I know.
Sometimes it just means I'm tired. Or sometimes it means I need a breath of air.
Yeah.
So I did what I hate.
Yeah. It's like maybe I just need a little more oxygen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
exactly.
I'm not. You're not boring. I promise.
Slap me. Anyway, God, I got up on it. Speaking of tangents, what was I talking about?
I don't know.
You weren't listening.
No, well, because I got frazzled.
It's so much more diverse. And, the community. The community was through stores. You knew people. You would gradually get to know a few people, just maybe that worked at the store or that you would run into every Well, back then it was Thursday. New Comic Book Day was Thursday, and I went every Thursday to get my new comics.
Yeah.
And I would see some people that would go every week, so I'd get to know them a little bit. So there was some small sense of community, and you might see a few people you knew at the Comic Con, but now it's like networks and Facebook and Instagram and everything. And you'd see your favorite YouTubers and TikTokers at Comic Cons, and it's so much different. Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's better now.
Yeah.
It's more diverse. That's probably the number one thing that's better.
Yeah.
There's a more wide variety of product. That's much better. But there was something quaint about those old cons where you felt like you were part of a special secret club, a secret society. Yeah, it was very underground.
Yeah.
There was something fun about that.
I wish I would have discovered conventions, I guess, earlier, like in my high school days, because I didn't really go to conventions until like after college, like after I graduated.
But if you would have gone, you would have been even less popular and even more nerdy than you were. I'm sorry.
I would have been cool amongst my own circles.
People.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was like, I was living my life at like Hastings and like
Yeah.
resale stores and stuff all the time. You know,
Now, that's cool.
trying to find my little niche interests and stuff. But if I would have found conventions, you know, I grew up in a small town, by the way. That's just why I knew nothing about conventions.
Right, yeah.
I thought like conventions were big city things. So
Yeah, and
I
they
was
kind of
like,
were.
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, kind of were.
They kind of were. It's like probably Dallas and stuff.
Now there's
Yeah,
more and more
there's
cons
way
in
more.
medium-sized towns and smaller towns.
Yeah, they're starting to pop up.
Waco,
and
Lubbock.
Waco,
You know, just speaking
Lubbock.
of Texas,
Yeah.
you hear about them. San Jose. You know, just all these different. San Angelo. Now
What
I'm
the
glad
heck,
you mentioned.
Waco?
I know. I'm glad you mentioned thrift stores
Yeah.
because back then it was considered incredibly uncool to go to thrift stores.
Yeah.
You were considered poor and like low class. The 80s, you know, people talk about how laid back and fun and cool the 80s
Yeah.
were. That's true to some degree in certain aspects, but it was very much brand conscious. It was very
Yeah.
cliquish. I mean, you had your nerds, your jocks, your freaks, you know, your preps who considered, you know, the goody two shoes
I
that
would have
dress.
been so outcasted.
I was a jock until I became a junior in high school, and I quit basketball and got a job.
Yeah.
And started hanging out in the back parking lot and all that
Yeah.
entails, and going to rock concerts and
Yeah.
stuff. So I kind of went from a jock to a freak.
I think the coolest thing, I mean, I was in theater and then
That's cool.
choir for like a year, and
Yeah.
then like I did color guard for a year. I guess like that's probably the coolest thing I did.
Color guard is
Color
cool.
guard.
Yeah. And you were cheerleader when you were younger.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was competition cheer. I tried out for the cheerleading
So not at
squad.
school,
I
just
did
the-
competition cheer, and then I tried out for cheerleading at my school and did not make the team twice.
Oh, that's terrible.
I was at 3 times. I've tried out multiple times for my school and did not make it.
I'm sorry.
Even though I done cheerleading in the competitive
It must have been
thing.
political.
It
I'm sure
was.
you did a good job. But thrift stores.
No, it
Considered
was also student vote.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. Well, you just didn't know enough people. That's it. That's a polite way of saying
But
you
it's
weren't
a
super
small
popular.
school, so I knew everybody.
They just didn't like you. No, not
Well.
really. There was just stiff competition, maybe. Hey, I'm free. That was my third sick burn, so I've
No, it's
reached
fine.
my
It's fine.
limit.
It's fine.
I'm
Oh
just
no,
kidding.
I'm giving myself a hard time. Too,
Yeah,
so
we do that.
It's fine.
That's what friends do. They
Yeah.
burn each other.
It's fine.
So it was just considered incredibly uncool. Your family was considered poor. You were considered lame and lowbrow, and
It's just rude.
but now it's hip and cool and trendy to go to thrift stores, and
Yeah.
I love that trend. But we did go to thrift stores from time to time, and I just remember hoping I didn't see anybody, you know, me going in
That's a
or anything.
shame.
But what I found, I remember finding a stack of Mad magazines when I was probably around 10 for a dime a piece.
Yeah.
And that was
Everyone
just
give you a
blew
hard
my
time,
mind.
and you
That was
found some
awesome.
treasures. Like, don't even.
I know, thrift stores are awesome. They
They're
rock.
the best.
Especially back then, you could really find amazing stuff at thrift
Yeah.
stores. Up
Oh,
until
yeah.
the last, 10 years or so, that stuff gets picked over pretty fast by
probably got a-
eBayers and,
Yeah, they're
it's
picked
just
over
more of a
now.
thing now.
But yeah, like I got a lot of clothes from thrift stores. and
Yeah,
stuff.
you've
I
had some
love
great
that.
finds.
Oh my god! Ever since I was a kid, I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved the hunt.
Right. You found
So
some stuff
fun.
in really nice condition
Oh yeah.
for clothes and
Oh
stuff.
hell yeah!
For sure.
My friends will tell you I'm really good at it.
Yeah. So basically, we're old hand-me-downs, is what
yeah.
you're saying.
Well, I also have older sisters
Yeah,
too, and they would
right.
give me stuff too.
That's what I had to wear growing up. My mom would give me jeans every
Yeah.
year and maybe a shirt every once in a while, but most of it was what my brother wore, and it was kind of lame.
Oh no! I'm lucky my sisters had some fashionable taste
Oh, that's good.
for the most.
That's
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It wasn't just my sisters, but I'd have friends give me clothes.
Oh, that's cool. So we discussed the next video that we're going to do together, or one of the next one. We got a Mortal Kombat video coming up. If you're still on board with that,
Oh, I'm on board.
you were a big fan of Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
early in
it was
your
my
life.
first
Yeah.
video game.
Your
pretty
first video
much.
game, Mortal Kombat. That's unusual for
Yeah.
someone's first video game to be Mortal Kombat.
I was like, because older siblings, they give you the console they're like done with, and so I got to play with the Genesis.
Oh, that's cool. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do a video on my 20th anniversary of going to a video game convention. That was Classic Gaming Expo way back in 2003 in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
That was my first video game con, and it blew my mind just as much as the first Comic-Con.
Sorry.
Almost.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
right
wow.
there, because I saw stacks and stacks of, sealed games for dirt cheap.
You'd be
and,
like swimming.
Yeah, if I would have just bought all the stuff I saw back then,
That's
I'd be incredibly rich right now.
Oh yeah, just look at the market.
Didn't have the foresight. All right, guys.
All right.
Anything else you want to say?
Shit.
What did you lose?
My dignity.
You're
I'm just kidding. No, nothing else. But I just wanted to share.
Are you going to share your finds?
Just gonna share that
Sierra's
Brett
pickups.
Brett found these sick Elvira VHS tapes.
Yeah, let's show them off. There's 8 different ones.
Hold on.
She'll show each one. That's
I already-
Eat Your Skin.
I eat your skin. I mean, hold on.
Here.
We're just gonna do.
Can I just grab them for you?
I'll do this.
Okay.
I'll grab them a handful.
Yeah,
at a time.
for all of you guys that like horror movies and B movies and Elvira, check these out. These are amazing.
Frankenstein's Daughter.
Cool flick.
The Brain That Wouldn't Die, obviously iconic. Hello.
You got a good deal on these, thanks to me.
The Wasp Woman. Hello.
That's actually a pretty entertaining movie.
The Giant Gila Monster.
Gila Monster. Yeah.
I'm all off my game today.
That's okay. Hadn't had enough caffeine.
No, probably shouldn't have another one though. The Mask.
The Mask was shown on 3D in television.
Oh, that looks.
You could go to 7-Eleven and get 3D
That looks
glasses.
so sick.
And they're very oddly titled.
Ugh.
Iga. I called it Iga and you call it.
Because it's more fun to go. Ugh.
It is definitely more fun and,
And
probably
then,
probably more accurate.
The Oh wait, the Crawling Hand. I
Oh,
couldn't read it.
nice.
But yeah,
Another
really
fun
sick. Well, the thing is like the reason. One of the reasons I think Brett thought of me, not only because he knows I like horror movies and Elvira, but also because I was like talking to him about my Monster High Elvira doll that I'm getting, that's incoming.
Right.
And you were like, oh, I got these VHSs.
Yeah, and I know you collect VHS tapes.
I do.
I've been to you and Ben's place before, and I saw your wicked cool VHS collection.
It's pretty wicked.
And
it's
now
really
it's
cool.
just that much cooler.
It's even cooler now. I finally got some Elvira ones.
Right.
Elvira, like, she's not in any of these, obviously. It's like she hosts.
Yeah,
you get what I mean.
And in most, I don't think she interrupts the movies either. I think she talks at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And most of those, but some of them, you know, when they have horror hosts on videos and they show their picture and stuff.
Yeah.
For some of them, they'll interrupt the middle of the movie,
Yep.
and some people don't like that. So some of them actually advertise that uninterrupted movie, and they just introduce it, and then at the end they'll talk too. But either way, they're fun, tons of fun. All right, guys.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
Awesome. That was fun.
All right, Sierra, thank you so
having
much for
me.
joining me. It's been so much fun. And hey, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Check out Unveiled Band on YouTube.
We're not together anymore, but it's still cool.
Yes, there's a lot of good stuff on there. There's some good, there's a couple of great videos, and Pop Nerd TV, there's some good stuff on there too.
Still
And
cool.
So now we're just kind of freelancing and doing some YouTube.
We're just doing, just kicking back and doing whatever.
Hanging out and having fun,
out.
guys, and I hope you guys are too. And let me know in the comments what you would like us to discuss. Like I said, we got the Genesis video and my first Comic-Con, or Video Game Con, and your first Video Game Con.
Yeah.
And we're going to show you guys our first interview, because it is available the first time. When you interviewed me, that was like your first convention interview too.
I'd never done it before.
Pretty awesome, and you did a great job. You were very cool and laid back.
Wow.
Like, you seemed very professional. I thought you were professional. I had no idea.
I didn't really tell anybody, I don't think.
You acted like you belonged there.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to tell nobody. I didn't want anyone looking down on me or nothing, being like,
You seemed like a pro. You had you had the professional microphone. You had a great look going, and you rocked it.
Thank you. Thank
All right,
you
we
very
will
much.
show
It
you
means
guys
a lot.
that video pretty soon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Signing off.
Signing off.
It's me, Mario!